Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Big East Rewind. I'm Chuck Everson, your 7-foot host from Villanova University, and my partner, as always, my main man, Sonny Spera. How are you, Sonny?
Chuck, I'm great. Looking forward to this. We talked about this for about a week or two now, and I'm glad we got him.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We're gonna talk some Philadelphia basketball for a little bit
Oh,
today.
I'm sure you are.
Big five, and to that degree, I had to rep the Birds because we're talking Philadelphia. So even though it wasn't the Birds' year this year, I could still rep the Birds and the city of brotherly love, Sonny.
Yeah,
So
well,
that
hey,
we
once a
love
fan,
so
always a
much.
fan.
What was that?
Once a fan, always a fan. I didn't burn all my Bills gear. I'm keeping it.
Well, yeah, I know you struggled with that this year, but
Rough,
rough to say
rough
the
ending.
least.
That's for sure.
Yep, yep. Well, listen, you can't win them all, Sonny. Um, so today we're going to talk a little Big Five. I got to play against this guy a few times in our careers in Philadelphia. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce him to you right now, Sonny. Okay. This guy was a three-time Olympian in the 88 Seoul Olympics, 92 Barcelona games, and the 96 Atlanta games.
Everybody knows what the '92 Barcelona was, don't you?
Well, that's right. And for 9 years, he did the broadcasting color commentary for the Orlando Magic.
Oh,
He
that's
also
cool.
was the Fox Spanish and on the Fox Spanish announce team. Um, and he is from the Temple Owls. The Temple Owls, Sonny, are in the house. I can't wait to talk to him. He's from the Temple Owls via the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. My good friend Ramon Rivas is with us. How are you, Ramon?
How you doing, Chuck? How you doing, Sonny? Very
Good to
happy
see you.
to have you to be on your show. That's for sure.
Good to
Well, we
talk to you,
appreciate
man.
you coming out, man. And, hey, listen, it's great to see you too. How many years has it been? Long
It's
time, man.
We saw each other 2016 when they were having the celebration at the Palestra.
Right.
I guess they were picking the top five schools out of each school, and you guys were one of them, and we were one of them. I guess it was
That's
one
right.
team per school, and we were lucky to be the one selected, among you guys.
can we
Yeah,
can we
that
say
that
something
was
though, Chuck, before we
go
start? Like,
go
just so
ahead.
people understand, maybe we're not as warm to Ramon tonight because he started off by telling us that it was 30 something degrees down in Florida, and Chuck is sitting in 8-degree temperature. I'm sitting in 9-degree temperature. So sympathy just not going to come out of our pores for a little while.
Not tonight, man.
It's going to take a
Nope.
little while for us.
It's
So
so good. It's so good. It's just not. We're not accustomed to having 30s in Florida to begin with. So and we
I
we
know
get
that.
some crazy summers. So having 30 degrees is to me it's good. It feels good. It makes me feel like when I was back in school.
yeah. So speaking of back in school, you talked about going to the Palestra for that thing in 2016. That was that team that they honored was the team with Mark Macon, your senior year, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that was. Let's start there. That was some team that you guys had. Talk about that team for a minute and the run that you guys had. I think you only lost two games that whole season, right?
Correct. We had my junior year was the 87. It was a good team. We were getting a little bit more comfortable playing together. We had in my class we had maybe like four seniors, but three were starters among Mark Macon and Mark Vries, which was a junior. But the chemistry was there, we felt confidence that we could have a good year because of the fact that Mark came in. We lost a big time player on Nate Blackbull. He was our leader, he was our
Yep.
captain, and unfortunately, he was gone. And Mark really filled up his shoes. As a freshman, he came through with some crazy energy, and he really put us on top of the world. Basically, he really stepped up, and the rest of the guys, it was only two freshmen, him and Sean Randall, which came
Right.
from the same school as Mark in Saginaw, Michigan.
So Timmy Perry was on that team too, right?
Correct, correct.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Howie was on that team too, right? Evans.
Yes, he. All three of us were seniors.
Right.
So we had three seniors, returning seniors, and the leadership was there. Coach, that was probably his fourth or fifth year at the school, maybe.
Yeah.
And we started to believe that we could have a good year because we were in the top 25 the previous years, the
Right.
the year before, where before we weren't even ranked, so that was something, and as I told you before, the fact that you guys went all the way and made it happen, we thought that we could have also a very good team, and a team that could have done more damage than we did. But
Yeah, you nearly did. I mean, a couple of bad bounces, and that was that, right? I mean, but for overall, that was one of the best teams probably in the Big Five history. I would get, I would top 10 at least, right? I would think.
yeah, yeah, I think that coach, the coaching staff was a good one as well. They kept us tight, and also we had Dwayne Coswell coming off the bench as well.
Yeah, he
So
was he was tough, man. I mean,
yeah,
you and
having
him
him,
were a formidable duo in the post. I mean, the two of you guys down there
and
was no
especially
easy
with
task
Tim.
for anybody, you
Yeah,
know?
we had Tim, which was one of the leading shot blockers in the nation, and Dwayne was pretty similar. The following year when Tim wasn't there, he was one of the shot blockers, top shot blockers in the nation. So we had some big presence in the paint. Unfortunately, we were a perimeter play team. We live and die with our perimeter player. And that's I think that bit us in the rear end at the end of the day, because if you shoot yourself out of a game, but you kill your opportunities, and I think that's
Yeah.
that's what happened to us on the last game.
Yeah, and
No, I gotta
go ahead,
ask you
Sonny.
some. I gotta ask you some questions about Coach Chaney because when they recruited me, Temple recruited me. It was assistant coach came, and I remember him telling me practices were 6 a.m. or earlier, and then I remember never contacting him again because there was no way I was doing that.
That's
But
right.
Coach Chaney, what was it like from where you came from to playing for him? Well, just tell a little bit of people about because legendary, one of the best coaches, tacticians, the matchup zone, all that stuff was genius. But talk about playing for him and his personality.
He was he had a smart way of connecting with me. He knows how to recruit. He knew how to recruit correctly. Saw the program great. When I got there, I was a transfer student, so I wasn't playing. What he did, he let me get away with murder. I used to beat on Granger Hall, Charlie Rain, all the guys. Tim. I couldn't do anything wrong because I think that he knew that if I would have had some type of negative feedback from him, I probably would have went home because it was very difficult for me, academically, with the English process. So he made it, he made me feel very comfortable to begin with. He was very strict with the rest of the guys, and little did I know, the following year he went from night to day or day to night, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I couldn't do anything correct. He got on my behind like he did with everybody else. And he was a tough cookie, full of love. I would say that, he was you can't judge a book by its cover. He was a good guy, got a good heart and cared for his players, but definitely did not let you get away with murder. He will be on your behind, and he will impose his will. If you know what I mean.
It seemed like he poured himself into his players. And how about your relationship as you graduate, you move on, you play some in the league? What is it like and how does it evolve?
In my case, I'm not from New Jersey or from Philly, so
Right.
I didn't go back that often because my schedule was busy. I was in Europe, and when I came back, I was with the national team practicing, or either I was in the beginning playing in the pro league back home. So I didn't have much opportunities to go to Philly to hang out with him. We connected, by phone. We stayed in touch by phone, but was never to able to see him face to face until it got to 2016 when we got together. I actually went and he couldn't make it uh, to the palestra that day where they were honoring the team. So I went to his house. Couldn't find it, but we ended up meeting with the rest of the guys at a restaurant. And actually, I was with my wife, so I introduced my wife to him, and he was very happy to see me. I was with Nate Blackwell. So I told him that that was your first recruit, which Nate was, and I was his first international recruit. So he actually was my roommate. Nate was my roommate. So that's the guy that know exactly how everything went with me. He taught me my first words in English. He knows all the bloopers I made. So it was good to actually see him. Unfortunately, when I saw him, he was already having issues with his health. I think they amputated a toe or something like that at that time. So he was beginning to go down.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does a guy like Coach Chaney find Ramon Rivas in Puerto Rico? I mean, you grew up in Puerto Rico,
Right.
right? So
Yes.
talk about that for a little bit first, and then how did you get to Temple? Like, what was the path for you to get to Temple?
It
Because
was
it
it was
seems it
crazy,
seems
Chuck.
wild because I know Coach Mass would go down there all the time to Puerto Rico, and there was guys, and you and I had talked about this a few weeks ago, that there were guys down there coaching that Coach Mass was tight with, and he would go down and watch guys play down there all the time. I imagine John did the same thing, right?
You'd be surprised. They had what's his name? PJ Carlesimo used to coach there in the summer league.
Yep. Yep.
There was not a rule for them not. I think the coach, the Syracuse coach,
Mayheim.
Boeheim, he was there as well. There was a few college coaches that came down to coach in the summertime, and obviously, they would see the talent and see who they can pick. But I didn't play in the league. I was like 17 and went into a school in Puerto Rico. There was a University of Puerto Rico, so I was trying to get a school to come down and check me out. But when I had a few people that were, there was no internet, no, it was not a straight connection. So when you send a letter to a school telling that you have a 6'10" Puerto Rican, they think you are, pulling their leg. So
Yeah.
nobody will come down. I know that we were trying to make some connection with Iona College, and
Uh-huh.
they blew us off.
Wow.
So the year that I play in the professional league, which is the same year that I'm playing college back home. Um, Pete Aguilar used to play for Temple, and he played in the same professional team that I was playing back home. It was my rookie year, and that was his last year with at Temple. And we talked, and I told him my intentions on wanting to go to the States and get an opportunity to play college ball. And he was the one that first got in touch with Coach Chaney. Immediately they sent me a ticket. I went to Philly. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know, I mean, to me it was if and I went by myself, of course. So my family didn't know where I was going, and Temple is in a rough time, rough part of town. It wasn't a piece of cake, and I didn't have any other option, to be honest with you. So I signed up on it. Coach came back to Puerto Rico, met my parents, and that was it, done deal. My dad didn't know where I was going.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it
That's
was
why.
it was an experience for me. I actually remember my
Oh, that's a
dad.
lot of trust, though. If that what you said, right? Didn't
Yeah,
know.
I trust the coach, and my dad trusted everything. He said, "Well, don't worry about it. When you get there, they'll have sheets, they have blankets, they have pillows. You don't have to take that from home." My first day at school, I had no pillow, no blanket, no
Yeah,
sheets,
right.
and it was
Every
And
kid
no
is
winter
packing that in the
jacket.
car going to school.
correct.
I
Yes,
Right.
guarantee you didn't have winter jacket. And you didn't have boots either.
that's right. I ended up buying my first jacket with Coach Demopoulos. He took me to a store. I was just talking about it with my wife a little while ago, and yeah, it was a totally new experience for a Puerto Rican boy that didn't leave the island, by himself in the past. So I really I got lucky. I got lucky because Temple was just beginning to grow as a basketball program. I know they had some history in the past, but I think all the check marks were in the right place. And coach helped me out a whole lot. I have to give him that.
100% hit it at the right time, I think. I
Yes,
mean,
timing.
and again, like you say, there
Actually,
was
ahead
no
of your
palm
time if you
trees
think
in
about it.
on Broad Street. There was
No,
none of that stuff there. So that had to be a total, out of body experience for you, kind of.
especially when he told me that I couldn't go to Puerto Rico in Christmas. Christmas
Oh,
was like, so I never went to Puerto Rico ever since I went to Philly. From then on, I never went to celebrate Christmas time in the island. So all the way until I finished playing basketball in Europe. So it was, that first year was rough, and the following, he made sure he kept our behind there in Philly. He didn't want anybody going anywhere, and I was one of the few that was from out of state.
wow. Wow. So going there, so you had no idea of what the Big Five is, I'm sure, at that point, right?
None.
When were you told about the Big Five, the city series? For everybody that doesn't know, there's five teams in Philadelphia. Well, now six if they because they brought Drexel in, but it was Temple, St. Joe's, Villanova, LaSalle, and UPenn. So when did you find out about that, and what were your thoughts of the city series as somebody who's not from the area?
I thought it was very interesting, that they have their own tournament, to prove who's better in the city. And I really, I think that one of the first games was against you guys. So once I saw your team was to me like, wow, this team is really good. You guys had, plenty of talent. You guys had size. I thought that you guys were, a team that could very easily, be a contender, not knowing anything else. To me, you guys were, it. And luckily that year, you guys made an incredible run. But that was the first experience that I had, going to the palestra, going, how the first basket they throw the
The
toilet,
streamers, yeah,
yeah, whatever they call it, yeah.
yeah.
It was a great atmosphere, and the bragging rights was very important for any team in the city.
It's funny because the other four teams were technically in the city. St. Joe's was kind of on the border, but we were the only guys in the suburbs. We were not in the city group, and that put a little bit of a target on us when you talk to the old school true blue Big Five fan, and those double headers, man, at the Palestra. I thought there was nothing better than that. Going to that, and you smell the popcorn when you come in, and there was two games on a Saturday. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. The only thing that was tough is the locker rooms were like dressing in a closet. It was they were tiny, but as far as the basketball goes, every game was a flat out battle right from the beginning to the end. There was rarely any blowouts. Um, and you guys, when especially when Granger was there, Granger gave us a really hard time, Granger Hall. And I know you mentioned him earlier a little bit that you got to beat him up a little bit. Well, thank you for that because he used to kick the crap out of us.
Duck appreciates you.
Ed had a hard time with Granger, and he played. We and you and I spoke about this, Ramon. He had the biggest knee brace I think I've ever seen on anybody. Talk about Granger Hall for a second. Tell people what he
Man,
was about.
man, Granger was probably, after all the years that I played basketball, he's one of the toughest 6'7" guys I have ever ran into.
Yeah,
He was my roommate along with Tim and Nate. And so I used to I have to play against him every day, and I have my, my green light to beat him up. But it wasn't a easy task. He was relentless, and he, as skinny as he looked, he was all fiber. He was very strong, and his armor was that knee brace, man. Uh,
yeah,
you had to play him once, once a year. I had to practice every day against this guy. Every time you bump that knee brace, it was like, you saw the stars,
yeah,
so my way of getting back at him, it was just whacking him every time. But I'm telling you, he had I thought that he would have been in the NBA for sure. But undersized, he was undersized, and
yeah,
probably his outside game wasn't, good enough to succeed. But he had a wonderful career in Spain. I think he's the leading rebounder there. He became a beast out there. He took that knee brace off, and you couldn't tell that he was ever injured. He was dunking
yeah.
and taking people with him, left and right. And he also helped me out a whole lot when I got to Temple because he was good friend with Pete, so he kind of took me under his wing. And uh, I haven't talked to him because he's very very private. I don't think he's ever going back to Temple. He's a
Really?
very no one knows much about what he's all what he's up to these days. But I know that I've read apparently he married some a Spanish lady, and he's got a son and a daughter, and I think they live in somewhere. I don't know if it's Ohio or where exactly he lives, but
Wow.
I wish I could sit down and talk to him because we have a lot of history, and for many years we played against each other in Europe, and we used to get the best out of each other.
Yeah, he gave us fits, boy. I tell you what, and each team had a guy or two that gave the other teams a hard time, for sure, because everybody got jacked up for those games. You mentioned the atmosphere there. It was like, on the first basket, as Ramon mentioned, they threw streamers, and then they had to stop the game and clear all the streamers off, and then when the other team scored their first basket, the streamers came out again, and they had the rollout signs, and it was a wild atmosphere for sure. All the games in there, everybody had their city team that they root for, and it was tremendous being able to be a part of that. I mean it created some difficulties for us because those games, you tried to play a couple of games that you can get W's in, on the preseason, and those were not it. I mean, those games, you don't know what's going to happen because everybody comes to play, their hardest. It was tremendous for not only the players but for the city too as well.
Yeah, and you have fans from each team. It wasn't like you were playing a home game. You were
Yeah,
playing kind of like an away game, but a few fans of yours, on the
right.
arena. But it was a definite. It's the closest thing to playing in Europe. Europe is very similar. Where the fans are so involved in the game, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy playing against, and then you have to run into you guys, later on, during the year. So
Yeah.
you wanted to make sure that that you whip somebody's behind, so they didn't come up to you and
Yeah, talk
and
trash.
brag on
Yeah,
it.
at
Ramon,
Smokes
Exactly.
or something. I get
Ramon,
it.
in the Big Five, who was that one guy that you wanted a piece of? That one guy that when you matched up with, you lit up like that was it. Like that was your mortal enemy. That was your Lex Luthor, right? Who was it?
Okay, let's go. You had well when I started playing, Granger was gone, and Ed Pinkney was gone, So the guy that I really wanted to get with him is Rodney Blake. Rodney Blake was he was a phenomenal player, and I don't know why, I never heard back from him, in the pros. I don't know what his career was, if he ever played afterwards, but he was a strong dude, a shot blocker. So he was a center. I was a center. So I wanted to have a piece of him, because obviously, he had a better numbers than I did. So when I played against him, I wanted to be physical with him, and I wanted to show that that I was at that level. But obviously, it's difficult when you don't get the ball as many times as he does, so or as
Right.
he did. But I had I had plenty of help because I would put my body on him, and I had Tim behind me, so he will come behind me, grab me by the shoulder, and block his shot. And we made his life very miserable, when we played against him. But definitely, he was the guy that I wanted to make sure that I had a good game, against.
So
From
that was the
St.
game that you
Joe's.
had circled. That was the
Yeah.
one.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that
then, and on top of that, they were on our conference, so we weren't going. We're not only going to see him there, we're going to see him in our conference as well. So
twice. So you played them 3 times a
three
year, right?
times, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was.
That's a tough matchup. I don't care who you play 3 times a year.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
something. I think he had some nightmares as well. Because as I say, when Timmy was playing him, because Timmy had to play him, it was I think he had some pounds over Timmy.
Yeah, he
But when
did.
I play him, body to body, and Tim would come behind me, he didn't have his way. He couldn't impose his will. That's for sure. So I know that he didn't like playing against us.
St. Joe's Hawks, Sonny, he was. And the funny thing, Sonny and I talk about my visit to Syracuse, and I stayed with Sonny on our visit in a very famous, we've said it many times. Rod came and stayed at Villanova. He wanted to come to Villanova, but we were off the next day, and which was a rarity. You know that, Ramon. I mean, you
Yeah,
never get a day off like that.
definitely.
So the guys, they give you meal money to take a recruit out or whatever, go get a pizza or whatever you're going to do. He just wanted to sit in the room and watch TV. And we're like, we're off tomorrow. You got to come out. You can't not come out. And so that's why he didn't wind up with us because nobody wanted to sit in the room. We hung out with him for a little bit and said, okay, listen, take care. It's good to
he,
see
he
you.
wasn't
So
he wasn't too wild. We got a
no,
chance to. I think the only time that we had an opportunity to interact was our last A10 tournament in West Virginia, and we actually, we were playing a very good season, so we could not relax, but be a little, be not be like we used to be back in the days, where you
right,
couldn't
right.
speak to your opponent because you were building, that I don't know,
Yeah.
you were building that fear, against, towards them. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but uh that's the only time where we had an opportunity to really get to know each other. And he seems to be very mellow, didn't seem like a guy that was much into partying and stuff like that.
Yeah. He was that way for sure.
Yeah. I think he
Very,
was
very
I think he was a smart guy.
Yeah, probably probably right. Probably right, you know. Um Again, we talked about a little bit about the teams getting amped up to play in that thing. Who was the big teams? Who was the rival team for, like St. Joe's? Villanova was the big rival for us and St. Joe's. It to me, and I'm going to catch a lot of grief for this, I'm sure, but to me it reminded me of the Yankees and the Red Sox because it was one of those things where it was heated, but it was one-sided a lot, and then then of course St. Joe's got their licks in too. After a while, who was the big rival for the Temple Owls at that time, or was there
uh,
one?
um, LaSalle was they had Lionel Simmons and they had what's his name the shooter
Yeah, the
that does
guard.
the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. You guys had some players, but you guys, the I think you guys lost a little steam, when you guys left, after after your senior year.
yeah.
I think Villanova went, but you guys still have what's his name,
Doug West
Doug
and
West, and the
yeah,
point guard was
Massey,
good as
Plansky.
well.
You had all those guys still.
Plansky as well,
Yeah,
and the big fellow, I can't remember
Tommy
his name.
Grice.
Yeah, he wasn't, uh all that, but he had size, and he would do his thing. He will get his points. If you went to sleep on him, he will get some numbers on you.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
yep,
guys still were, but I think St. Joe's was the team that we always wanted to beat. I think because of the rivalry from our own conference.
right.
I think, yeah, I would say St. Joe's after you guys left.
Yeah, it got heated, man. It really did, and and they took the people of Philadelphia really take these games seriously.
Yeah,
I mean it,
yeah.
and again, Sonny. It was Sonny's favorite place to play. We've talked about this millions of times. He, we go or up to the dome, and I never won in the dome in the 4 years I was there. Sonny's never won at the Palestra. So, and we always split with
Yeah,
Syracuse,
not a fun place to play.
Really.
but what a great
That
place to
little
play a game
dinky
though,
ass
Sonny.
locker room, that little bedroom closet locker room that you had to change in. Hated
Uh-huh.
that place.
But
And
what
Yeah.
a great place. I
you had to
mean,
sit on
as
the
far as
heater.
atmosphere,
The only thing was
Yeah,
the
the
heater was in the
history.
corner.
yeah,
The history of that
the
building,
cathedral they call it,
Yes,
the
yes. It's
cathedral. Yep.
very unique. It makes you feel like you are back in the 60s,
They're right on top of you. Fans are
Yep.
right on top of you,
Yes.
It's still
Yes.
that way. I
which
went
is
to a
cool.
game
That's a
about
cool
a year
environment.
ago there. We actually lost to Penn, and
And
it looks exactly the same, pretty much, Ramon. So,
yeah, and the
you
and
know,
the and the bleachers, where the fans
yeah,
sit, it's so uncomfortable that
right.
I think they are already upset about having to sit there, for an entire game. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's you don't have no back support,
no.
that
Tough
I can
ticket to
remember,
get though.
so it's rough being there all the way around.
So, talk to us about playing in the Olympics for your home country, your home play, Puerto Rico, and talk about, I guess you started right. Your first one was the '88 Soul, right?
Yes.
So, talk about that and how that led to you getting to the Celtics.
Okay. Actually, we on 1987, there's the Pan Am Games in
Right.
Indiana. I'm not part. My first year with the national team was in '86. The World Games in Spain. We
Hmm.
played against actually the USA team, and we actually lost by 1 point, missing the follow. Whatever moving up to the following series.
Mhm.
So 87, I have my knee surgery. In the summertime, I have a knee surgery, so I'm not a part of that team in Indiana playing for the Pan Am Games. And then Ramon Ramos, who played for Seton Hall,
Yeah.
took my place. He was, he was invited to the national team that year. So he actually played and got, with the new coaching staff, got in a good situation, and obviously he was playing good basketball as well. So we go to I think it's Uruguay to play the pre-Olympics, and we qualified. That team that we had at that time was stacked, as with many big guys. Ramon playing at Seton Hall. I'm coming from Temple. We had Jerome Mincy, who used to play
Yeah.
for UAB. We had Jose Picolín Ortiz, who played for Oregon State. So it was pretty stacked. We all were playing for MVPs back home in the national on the professional league. But only two guys play, consistent. They had already the team. So I have very little run that year, that summer in Seoul. Fortunately, I was getting invited to go to San Antonio. I went to the rookie camp in San Antonio. They invited me to go back to the veterans camp. Nothing guaranteed. But I had also opportunities to go to Milwaukee and also Philadelphia and Boston. But Boston was my favorite team. I was a Boston fan ever since I met Larry Bird when I was like 12 years old. And I say, if I'm gonna get cut from any team, I want to get cut, with the Celtics.
Yeah, right.
I want to have an
That's
opportunity
cool.
to live that moment. And the weeks went by, and I ended up making the team. But going to the first Olympic was a pretty neat situation. I mean, going to Korea, the whole Olympic thing, was a newbie for me, and I really enjoy representing my country. Representing Puerto Rico was one of the most joys that I had, playing basketball. And
Yeah.
and then we go and also qualify for the Olympics in Barcelona. So we ended up playing against the Dream Team.
The dream team. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is so tell me about that, because was the hype as crazy as it seemed on they were like rock stars, man. They walk in to the gym. I hope you weren't taking pictures with these guys, Ramon. Like some of the other countries that were on the court, they're taking pictures, they're signing autograph. It was amazing what was going on.
I got to tell you, I had some friends on my national team that they had the cameras ready to snap pictures. I wasn't like that because obviously I had already a year with
Right.
playing for the Celtics, and Jose was already playing with Utah. So
But by the way, I didn't mean to brush over that. That was a big deal because you were only the third player from Puerto Rico to actually play on the NBA, right? Jose came in with the Jazz, I think, right?
yes,
And
we
then
have.
and then the Celts got you.
Yeah, we got Butch Lee, which is the first Puerto
Right.
Rican born, but he
Hmm.
actually grew up in New York. So
Oh, Butch Lee, yeah, from Marquette.
Right.
right
Marquette.
from
Yep.
so
He was a
he was
stud.
he was a member of the national team. He was something else, and so he's the first Puerto Rican born. But Jose and myself are the first Puerto Ricans, made in Puerto Rico. Coming from the professional league, coming from the minor
Yeah,
leagues there. So
Yeah.
he gets
born and
drafted.
bred.
He gets drafted a year before by Utah. But
Yep.
at that time, remember the NBA, you didn't have a guaranteed salary for being drafted. So he
Right.
ended up going to Spain, play 1 year in Spain. And my senior year, I'm saying, I just want to give the opportunity. If I make it, fine. If I don't, I'll keep playing somewhere else. So we both go into the league the same year, which is a big deal because
Oh
it
yeah.
hasn't happened again,
Right.
and we had some guys that have really played some good basketball with Jose Juan Barea with the Dallas Maverick, and Carlos
Hmm.
Arroyo, which is probably the one that played the longest. But playing, having two big guys, because Puerto Rico has always been known for having good point guards, good perimeter players, but not big guys making
Right.
it anywhere
Jose
else.
Barea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a
Source of
big deal
great
back
pride for
home.
the country, right? I
Oh,
mean,
without a doubt, without a doubt,
yep.
and those were probably the best years, as I say. With the national team, we had some good years. We had our run. I guess we never made it to the medal round at the Olympics, but at the World Games in 1990, we came in fourth place. We were
Right.
the only team that beat Yugoslavia. We played for the gold for the bronze with the U.S. Went to overtime and then ended up coming short. In 1991, we finally win the Pan Am Games, and they had the USA team. They had Brazil. It was in Cuba, so we had some good years, and also making it to also like a third consecutive Olympic, which is Atlanta, and we end up winning the qualifier. So and that's a different story. We end up winning the qualifier to go to make it to the Olympics, with maybe the full team being suspended. The only
Wow.
guys that were not suspended was Picolin, myself, and Jerome Mincy, but everybody else got suspended because they had an issue in Argentina at a earlier tournament.
Wow.
So we ended up picking, like the
Second group. Yeah.
second group, and we ended up winning that tournament and making it again to the Olympics.
So get back to the dream team for a second. The vibe when those guys walk in the building, I mean, had to be nuts. And obviously, you had a year of playing pro, NBA basketball, at that point in time, and you weren't phased. But I guess I couldn't imagine, like, you had to play
No,
one or
hold that,
two of
hold
these
that.
guys at a time. But I mean, when you had all of these guys walk in on the same team, I mean, it's a little different than you're going to go guard Charles Barkley tonight or Karl Malone. Now you got them all on the court at the same time. What was that like?
It was it's surreal, just knowing that you competing with these guys, that they are at a different level, and that you have to play them regardless. They some of them were your idols, with
Yeah.
Bird, and some of the older guys, and guys that you knew that were at a different level. And it was difficult to come up to a game where you're gonna get spanked, regardless of what you do. And if you have whatever good you have, it's not good enough for them to, for you to beat them. And they beat you in every single position. So it's demoralizing, to be honest with you. And for some of the other teams, were like, they were thinking that they were in Hollywood, taking pictures with them, this and that. And it's
It was amazing. I'm watching from home, and obviously, as a basketball fan, not only a player but a fan of the game, you see these guys, you want to see them do their thing, and Angola is first of all, Charles knocked the guy on his ass from Angola, and Charles doesn't take any crap from anybody. He got a bad rap for that, but you know what? I didn't give him a bad rap because I know he's just being Charles playing. He just played really, really hard, you know.
he's actually one of the nicest guys, to be honest with you,
Oh
man.
yeah, 100%.
We will run into him, and we had good chemistry with them. I think that we had a good situation with them, where they didn't look at us, like the other countries, that were like from this side of the world. And most of us, went to college, so like Jerome knew uh, Charles, and I knew Bird. Jose knew Stockton, and what's his name, and
Malone, yeah.
Carmelo. So we were like, okay with them. Actually, we had one of our teammates, James Carter. He was the barber for them.
Oh really?
So yeah, yeah. So we actually had a good chemistry with them. But as I say, Charles is very, very nice guy, and I know that that was the instant that he had as a player, but not, he didn't mean anything, and I'm pretty sure that was
Yeah, yeah. But it was just telling, just to see them, yeah, yeah. And Bird wasn't even at his best at that point. Bird was he had a back situation, and
Yeah, he was in bad shape.
He was in bad
Yeah.
shape. He was laying down. But to see him and Magic on the court playing together was something to see, even if Bird was only half of what he was, or to me it was just phenomenal. Why? Because the combinations that they could throw at you, there's nothing you could do. I mean,
They were big all the way around. They could play. Pippen, Magic. Bird. You have Malone, and you have let's say Patrick Ewing.
you got Patrick,
What do you got?
Chris
What do
Mullen.
you
I
got
mean,
for
it
me?
was unbelievable. The Admiral, you had them all. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean that.
Speed, and just everything that you can think of. All of those guys were very unique players, and I don't think they will ever assemble any other team as good as that one.
No.
I know that it's hard to compare eras, but they had it all, and maybe we weren't up to the challenge, worldwide, but still, I don't think that that we will see any other team like that. Like some of the other teams, like the ones that Kobe was in, they
The
needed
Redeem Team,
they
yeah.
yeah they needed him, because he had, he was the kind of like you were saying with Barkley. He had that mentality, and these other guys are a different era, and they would never come even close to that dream team, or the original dream team.
Yeah, I agree. And so now you played what, a year or two with the Celts?
I played 1 year, and the opportunity to go to Spain. I had a team that wanted me to sign for 4 years, and I saw the opportunity. I didn't get much playing time. At one point, Bird gets hurt, and they trade Brad Lohaus and Danny Ainge to Phoenix,
Yeah.
and then they bring your buddy
I was gonna
Pigney.
say, yeah, yeah,
And I'm
Eddie.
saying,
Yeah.
if he comes in and then Joe Klein comes in, where am I going to be at?
Right, where you're gonna
That
play.
really, yeah. So I
Right.
say I didn't get much playing time in the league. What am I going to be going to another camp, trying to make a team, this and that. So this opportunity was a beautiful opportunity for me to take. I went
Yep.
and ran with it. Spent 7 years for the same team that signed me up, and we had, it was a small team coming from the second division. It was 1 year in the first division, and from then on we did some work, and had some good years there.
So I want to get back to the Celts for a second. So you got to play with Parrish, Bird, and McHale, the big three, right?
Yes, sir.
The original big three, I would think,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That
So
was a quick
okay.
answer. That was a yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
baby.
All right, I got
Yes.
that. So do you give us a couple of good stories that no one has heard about? Everybody knows about Bird being the trash talker, and Ed has told me that he's been out, with Bird, and Bird said, "Hey, you better go home because tomorrow's going to be a long day for you," because they had practice the next day, and he said, "You better get home and go get some rest because it's going to be a long day," that type of thing. Give us a couple of stories about any of those guys.
Well, Chief, to begin with, he's very quiet. Very funny. You wouldn't believe how funny he is. He's got a good sense of humor, and doesn't look that way. McHale was he was a pain in the ass. To be honest with you, he will make you
He had great footwork, right, Ramon?
yeah, he walked every single time, man. They didn't call him. He walked
Wait a
every
second.
single time
Wait a second. He
with
had
the
great
long
footwork.
Well,
arms.
it depends on
He
when
left
you're
every
playing.
single
I
time.
mean, back then, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Now,
well,
not so
walking.
much.
Well, right now that move, is not a walk now, but he got away with that. He got some great moves. He was a tough customer down low. His release was so high that you couldn't touch it, but he was a guy that will instigate. He will try to get under your skin. He wouldn't let Brad Lohaus live by. He wouldn't give him a break. I will. I don't mean to sound cocky or anything like that, but I guess I was a little physical. So he didn't mess up
No,
with
not
me.
you. Not
Right.
you. You're
Yeah.
physical?
Yeah, a
No.
little bit. So I have plenty of love. I have plenty of love from them. And not, like I know that some of my peers, when they go to the league, they have a lot of bullying or whatever, they pick on them, and I was with a veteran team. So they didn't do all that type of bullying, but Bird was he's something else. He's every day he's talking, and he's smacking it in your face, and just very tough customer. I don't have stories like I hear some in some other podcasts, but it was a great situation being there. It was great to be with those veterans, because they, it was not nonsense.
Yeah.
It was just a few young guys, but no crazy stories that I can I
So
hear. Go
so
ahead.
let me ask you this. You get to the Celtics. You'd said your favorite player was Bird and your favorite team was the Celtics. 12-year-old Ramon Rivas. What is 12-year-old Ramon Rivas saying in your head as you take the parquet floor for the first time for practice or game?
Well, I
That had to
was
be amazing.
that was I cannot even explain what I was feeling. And Burr was was he story that he thinks that he would do to me. He would tell me sub in. Think about it. That's your idol. That's Burr. And he tells you, Ramon, go in. And he was the first one telling me, Ramon, I spoke to Red Auerbach, you are going to make the team, prior to me making the team. And
Oh,
he was not joking. He wasn't, it wasn't like he was, laughing or taking it as a joke. He was kind of like giving me a peace of mind. And so when he tells me, Ramon, sub in, I'm like, ready to get up ready to get off the bench and sub in, especially because Rogers was on his first year. So, Casey Jones was he retired that the year
right.
prior to me getting there. So, he didn't get that much respect, from the veterans. So he would tell me stuff like that, and I will be,
So let me ask you a question. So Larry Bird tells you to sub in the game. The
uh-huh.
coach is Rogers. What's the coach saying?
He wouldn't say anything, he wouldn't say
So you
anything.
went in the
But
game. You listen to Larry.
no, I did not go. But
Oh, I was going to say,
like
because
I said, he
I
had
tell
me
you
on
what,
my
I know the
tippy
guy's
toes.
got juice and all, but holy smokes.
Yeah, that's
You
what I'm saying.
imagine?
He had me on my tippy toes. That's how much
Yeah.
influence. I said, if he says so, maybe I should go in. I mean, that's that's how much
Wow.
Larry Bird meant to the team, and how much he got respected by me and all the other young players that were there.
Yeah. I mean, that first of all, it's phenomenal that you got to experience that, and being a 12-year-old and looking up to Larry Bird the way you did and everything. That's unbelievable. I'm, really
How
hats off
about
to
how
you for
about
that.
Danny Ainge? Was he
Danny,
obsessed?
Danny used to call me. Yeah, Danny was fun too, because he played baseball, and apparently he went to some of those baseball camps. So he would run into a lot of Hispanic guys. So he would throw the Spanish words to me. Would try to speak to me in Spanish. DJ also was fun. He, like I said, we had so many veterans that they were all, very very cool, very cool. We didn't get that type of treatment like other rookies do when they get to the league. And that's because I mean, I hear all the other teams at that time, the young fellows, they would have to go and buy donuts. They would have to carry their luggage. I never
Carry
carried
bag,
one
right?
bag. I didn't carry one bag. I mean, that's how cool they were. We weren't treated like slave or anything like that. So my experience with them was super super cool. I couldn't as I say, I had a great time there. Too bad it was so short. It was a short run.
Did you and DJ, were you guys teammates? Were you partners, roommates?
DJ,
Yeah.
yeah. He's funny. He was funny, you know. We used to play cards, you know, and and we had some stories there, but you know, I won't go into it. But you know, well, okay, let's do
Well,
it. Yeah,
if
let's
you'd
do it.
like to.
Yeah, okay. We will play cards, and you know, I'm a rookie, so I got minimum wage. You know, so my money, you know, I hold my money. You know, we bet on the plane, and we were playing tongue. You know, and you keep those cards in your hand. You know, they say 1, 2, 3 tongue, whatever. I can't remember exactly how it was.
We called it guts, but yeah, go ahead.
Guts. Okay. And he hold the cards, and I hold my cards bluffing, but I was gonna stick with them. So he thought that you know that I had you know a weak hand that I was gonna throw. And I was short on money, and I kept those hands, and he left it, but he let it go, but late. And when he saw my cards, you know, he wanted me to, you know, to pay up. And I said, nah, you you pay up. So I ended up winning the hand. But at that time, you know, we were betting money, and my salary was, you know, pretty weak. So I couldn't afford to lose a card game, you know. But we had such a good time. My time there was, as I say, it was short. You know, it was 1 year, but I enjoy every minute of it. I can't tell you much more than that one. That's for sure.
So a couple more and we'll let you go. We're getting close on this thing, Ramon. So talk to us about the influence because most of your career you were in Europe, okay? Or overseas. Talk to us about the influence of the European style on the NBA, both when you played and today. And what do you think um, was the reason for such a big change now when you see all of these foreign players coming over to the States to play, and all of them can play? Is do you think it's due to the AAU process? What do you think happened where Europe and everybody caught up to the States?
Well, I think the one in one, you know, one on one game is it has killed some of the basketball that we used to
Yeah.
see when we were younger. You know, in college, you know, even in the NBA, you will see more ball movement. You know, right now it's one guy will bring it, you know, full court, and it's a two-man game. You know, and that's it. I think the fact that so many Americans were going there. I mean, when the year that I go to Spain, Brian Shaw goes to Roma, Messaggero. He plays in Italy. Danny Ferry goes to Italy. You know, some of those guys. You know, I play with you know Dominique with. Orlando Woolrich. You know, there's so many guys that went overseas that you know that uh, help to develop basketball. You know, I mean, you seen some of the best talent. You know, but they are playing in Europe, so you start believing that you can play at that level. And I think the practice that they did, you know, the 2 times a day, you know, they didn't run one practice. You know, they one practice is fundamentals, and the other practice is you know running plays and just doing the basketball stuff. But you know, I think those things have helped the European basketball. Also, the freedom for the big guys to do, you know. The shooting from the outside. You know, I didn't, you know, as I say, you know, when I was playing college, I couldn't even get the basketball. You know, I mean, I probably got, you know, a few touches, but you know, you go to Europe and you know the ball goes in, goes out, moves over. You know, it's you know people are moving and cutting. You know, it's not a one-on-one game, and I think that we as an Americans we went away from that. You know, and they keep developing players. They are you know getting better in the fundamentals. You know, big guys, 7 footers that can put the ball on the floor, that can shoot from threes. I mean, I don't. I'm not too crazy about the threes. You know, because it takes a lot from the inside game. That there's very little inside game in today's game. So I don't know. Uh, I guess it's a different era. But definitely Europeans are caught up, and it shows.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know how many European players are in the league right now, but they are successful. They're not just bench warmers like back in the days. They are, the stars on many teams in the league. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to stop, but the AAU doesn't help at all. Just playing basketball and not practicing. It's not. I coach basketball at all the levels, all the way until my son went to college. And I would see, every team wants to be in every tournament, and they don't practice. They just play basketball, and you cannot get better if you don't practice. I'm sorry, you got to work on your individuals, and then as a team, and then put it in. Your exam is playing a game, but not like today's day. It was. I would run 7 tournaments during the year with my kids. 7 tournaments, and I wasn't expecting. I wouldn't travel much. I would just play up with my kids, and that was if you wanted to get some challenge, you would play up. That was basically it. You didn't travel the whole United States trying to get better. And most of those kids went into college and got scholarships.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, man. The fundamentals is the key. That's, a lot of these guys now that are coming up, especially now this generation of player, the little things like pivoting, and things of that nature, setting picks and rolling the right way, and so you see the ball and those kinds of things are lacking in the game. And the coaches that we know, guys that we played with and against, say all the time to us that this is the kind of stuff that I'm teaching at that level. It shouldn't be teaching that stuff at that level. They should know that at that point, no?
And it's a business. All these tournaments go on because they got some revenues. People are
Yeah,
running tournaments. You make a lot of money running tournaments, and unfortunately, it's all about the money, and that's making our players not be prepared for, and they get, on top of that, they get worn out quicker.
yeah,
Until you get to a professional level where you train and prepare your body. Most of those kids that are running little leagues, they are all hurt by the time they get to be 14, 15 years old, because all
right.
the running that they've done and playing basketball, not playing basketball, playing tournaments every weekend.
Yeah, yep. It takes a toll. That's for sure. All
Yep.
right, last question, and we'll cut you loose, man. I appreciate you coming out with us tonight.
My
What would
pleasure.
you say? We talked a little bit about Bird and the 12-year-old Ramon. What would you say to a 12-year-old who may have looked up to you when they want to get to where you've been? What would you tell that kid?
Uh, I would say just make sure that you have plan A and plan B. Meaning, make sure you get your academics first, and get and put the time. Stop playing all those games. When you playing those video games, somebody else is working out there. When you're doing like this, somebody else is working out, trying to get better, uh, thinking something, and putting your body, and put your how they say, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah,
Because don't there's no way that you're gonna reach anything unless you follow what you're saying. I mean, I see a lot of kids talking a lot of stuff, that they want to do this, they want to do that, but they don't do the things that they need to do. And unfortunately, talk is cheap. They gotta make sure that they have a dream, they follow the dream, and things will come through. And even if it's not basketball, if you are consistent on whatever you do, you will be successful. And basketball should be a tool to help you in your entire life. You know, being consistent in everything that you do is success ultimately.
Yeah, a great advice. Great advice, man. And listen, it was truly good to catch up with you, my friend. It's been a long time, and I appreciate you coming out and joining us tonight.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, man.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Sonny.
it.
Really enjoy being here with you guys tonight. And sorry, I should have been last week,
No, it's all good.
but
It's all good.
uh, we made it happen.
Yeah, yeah. Hang
Made it
out for a
happen.
second. Well, let me wrap this up and we'll say goodbye to you properly.
All right.
You've been watching and listening to the Big East Rewind with Chuck Everson and Sonny Sparrow. The Big East Rewind is produced and directed by Nick Chico Chorus, Daryl Gurney, and James Hapt. You can catch us on the Sirius XM app, YouTube, or wherever you get your pods. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Thanks a lot, folks. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.